Hello and welcome to Daytime, your place for scary stories straight from the horror forums of Reddit. Make sure to like and subscribe for more horror tales of things that go bumping the night. On tonight's episode, a man dealing with past trauma reflects on his encounter with an evil babysitter. So, no matter what you do, don't hire Mrs. Wren.
You ever fall so far, you forget what the sky looks like? That's how deep the pit went. I wasn't falling through a house anymore. I was falling through her, through memories that weren't mine. I landed hard, on a floor that felt like cloth, breathing cloth. Everything was warm, too warm. The light was dim, flickering like a candle inside a throat. The walls, if you could call them that, were layers of stitched skin, doll parts, broken toys, and glass eyes blinking out of sync. I couldn't move for a while. Just lay there, listening, not to silence, but something worse. Lullabies from every direction. Dozens of versions of Mrs. Wren's voice singing different songs. Some in English, some in tongues that made my ears ring. And beneath them, tiny wet whispers. Children crying, begging, praying. I stood gripping the knife Micah had given me and stepped forward. My feet sank into the floor with every step. Thread snapped around my ankles. Teeth brushed my calves. It wasn't a basement. It wasn't even a room. It was a womb. She was growing something. A family. Me. But not the real me. A stitched me. I saw it slumped in the corner. A puppet with my face. Same haircut. Same scar on my eyebrow. Only its eyes were wide open, watching me. "She's almost done," it said, voice trembling. "When the last stitch goes in, you'll forget. And I'll wake up." I asked what it meant, just started laughing. Crying, then a snap. Its head twisted clean off. A red thread yanked it into the ceiling, and it was gone. I ran, down corridors lined with cribs and shelves of baby teeth. I ran through a hallway made of picture frames, each one showing a different version of me. In one, I was smiling. In another, I was screaming. In one, I was completely hollowed out, a black thread where my spine should have been. And then I saw her. Mrs. Wren, standing at a table, sewing. My parents were on the table, unconscious, but breathing. And she was stitching their hands together, threading them into a giant, twisted family quilt. Her mouth never moved, but I heard her voice inside my head. "You were such a lonely boy. Now you'll have so many brothers, so many sisters, forever and ever and ever." I raised the knife, charged her. But she turned too fast, inhumanly fast. Claws lashed out and caught my arm. I fell. The knife skidded away into the dark. She was on top of me in seconds, black thread leaking from her eyes, mouth stretched open like a broken doll. "You should never have run," she hissed. "You broke our trust." I spit in her face and she smiled, and sewed my mouth shut. I don't remember what happened next. Just pain and fire and whispers. When I woke up again, I wasn't in the pit. I was back in my room. Clean, safe, sunlight streaming through the window, the smell of waffles downstairs. For a second, I thought it had all been a dream, until I sat up and saw the mirror. The reflection blinked out of sync. The me in the mirror wasn't me. Its smile was too wide, too happy. And then it whispered, "I got out." My heart dropped. I turned to the door, and there stood Mrs. Wren, holding a plate of waffles, wearing my mom's apron. "Morning, sunshine," she chirped. "Ready for your big day?" I tried to scream, but my mouth was still stitched shut. She set the plate down, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Try to behave, or I'll have to unmake you again." She walked out. I sat frozen, shaking, tears running down my face. Then I noticed something. In the waffle, tiny letters, formed from syrup. "Micah's alive. Look in the vent." I crawled to the floor vent under my desk, pulled it open with my fingernails. Inside was a torn notebook and a pair of scissors, rusty but real. I didn't hesitate. I sliced the stitches holding my mouth. Blood poured down my chin, but I could speak again. And inside the notebook were instructions, maps, names, symbols. Micah had been planning a war against them, the babysitters, Not just Mrs. Wren, but dozens of them. All part of something older. Something buried in small towns and lullabies. Feeding off broken families. Micah called them the threaded ones. And there was one rule. Never let them finish the pattern. That's how they lock you in. How they rewrite your life. How they turn you into them. I had to act fast. Had to finish what Micah started before she stitched me out of my own life. That night I waited, pretended to sleep, listened to her breathing through the walls. At exactly 3:03 a.m., she came into my room, humming, dragging the thread. She stood over me, raising her needle. That's when I lunged, scissors in hand. I stabbed her right in the eye. She screamed, not in pain, but in rage. Like a chorus of 1,000 angry mothers. The walls pulsed. The house shook. She swiped at me, ripping open my shoulder, but I ran. Down the stairs, into the kitchen, where I'd prepared a trap. Micah's notebook had instructions for an unbinding ritual. Circle of broken toys, a mirror, fire, and truth. I stood in the center, bleeding, screaming her name backward, and she came. Not just Mrs. Wren, but all of them. Dozens of threaded ones. Faces like stitched porcelain. Smiles that went too wide. They surrounded me, singing, but I finished the chant, lit the fire, and for the first time, I saw them burn. Thread snapping, flesh unraveling, memories unwinding. Mrs. Wren tried to reach me, tried to pull me into her arms, but I stabbed her again, right through the chest. The blade broke. She didn't scream, she just whispered, "You'll always be mine." Then she was gone, and the others with her, the house empty, still, silent. I collapsed, and everything went dark. When I woke up, I was in a hospital, bandaged, alone. The nurses told me I was found passed out in a burned-out house. No one else inside, no evidence of dolls, or sewing, or monsters, but they were wrong, because when they brought me my belongings, there was something in my hoodie pocket, a note, written in Micah's handwriting. One left, the mother of thread, she's waking up. We need you. And attached to it was another doll wearing my clothes with one eye missing and its mouth sewn shut. You can survive hell, but you don't leave it behind. Not really. I carried it with me after the hospital, in the scabs along my arm where the stitches had been, in the way every shadow looked like it had teeth, and in the whisper that returned every night when I closed my eyes, she's not gone. Micah's note wouldn't leave my mind either. One left, the mother of thread. She's waking up. We need you. I didn't know what it meant at first, not really, but deep down I could feel it. Mrs. Wren was just a fragment, a splinter, a puppet herself. Something older had been pulling her strings. And that something was still out there, still watching, still waiting. It didn't take long before I started noticing them again. Threaded ones. They were subtler now, posing as teachers, librarians, social workers, all smiles and warm cookies. But behind their eyes, black thread shimmered. They weren't looking for me anymore. They were looking for kids, building a new family and a network. I started following them, tracking them. Micah and I weren't the only ones anymore. There were others, survivors, kids like me who'd escaped but hadn't forgotten. We met in abandoned buildings, shared maps, traded tools, knives made from mirror shards, salt bullets, chalk made from bone dust. We called ourselves the Unsown. We had one goal: find the mother of thread and cut her from the world. We found her name first, scrawled into the spine of an old picture book in a condemned daycare center. Tavella. The syllables made us bleed when we spoke them. Micah said the name was older than language. A god, maybe. Or something worse. Not just the mother of the threaded ones, but the pattern itself. She didn't move. The world moved through her. And she was waking up. Every threaded one that sewed a child into their false family brought her closer, and we were running out of time. That's when the dreams started. Not nightmares, invitations, stitched cards appearing under pillows, drawings on the backs of our eyelids, calling us to her nursery, calling us home. One by one, we started vanishing. Micah was the last to go before me. He left a voicemail on a burner phone before he disappeared. She's not in one place anymore. She's everywhere. You can't fight her from the outside. You have to go in. You have to be unmade. That was the last I ever heard his voice. So I let myself be taken. I opened the last letter, read the pattern aloud, fell asleep. When I woke up, I wasn't in my bed. I was back in my childhood living room. But not quite. Too quiet, too clean. My parents were on the couch, unmoving, faces blank. A mobile spun above the coffee table, made from teeth and doll parts. And there in the hallway stood her, the mother of Thread. She didn't look terrifying at first. She looked ordinary. A tall woman with silver hair and a face like an old porcelain doll. Cracked, but kind. She smiled. "Welcome back, sweetheart," she whispered. But the walls behind her moved, twitched, writhed. Threads ran from her fingers to the ceiling, the furniture, the sky. She was the house. She was the pattern. Every floorboard, every memory, every lullaby. I could see them now for what they were. Stitches. And I was inside the quilt, my entire life. A thread in her tapestry. I tried to run, but the floor melted into yarn beneath my feet. Hands reached out from the wallpaper. Children, crying, trapped. "I made you better," she cooed. "You were broken, alone. I gave you family." "You took them," I snarled. "You replaced them." "No," she whispered, stepping closer. "I perfected them." The threads wrapped around my chest, squeezed, pulled. I could feel myself unraveling, my thoughts slipping, names blurring. Who was I? What was my name? What was real? Then I remembered the scissors. Micah's blade. I reached into my jacket and pulled it free. She saw it and screamed. Not in pain, but in rage. The illusion shattered. Walls cracked open. Reality peeled back like old wallpaper. I saw what she really was. A pulsing mass of mouths and threads and eyes and claws. A mother of monsters. She lunged. I slashed. I cut the threads between us and screamed my name again and again until the world started to shake. Until her threads began snapping. Until the children in the walls began to sing. A lullaby, but backwards. Unbinding her. Undoing the pattern. The sky above her shattered like glass, and her last words were a hiss of thread through teeth. "There are always more patterns." Then she was gone. I woke up in a field, burned, bleeding, surrounded by dolls with broken strings. Micah was there, somehow, alive, barely. He helped me up, said, "You did it." I asked if it was really over. He didn't answer, just handed me a box. Inside was a single spool of black thread. Still warm, still breathing. I asked him what we do with it. He said, "We guard it, we wait. And if it ever starts to move..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to, because the thread twitched.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more horror tales.